Okay. Yeah, maybe we could kind of like go through a little brainstorm session of naming. That's real boring work, but what's up, Brian?
Ryan.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you here. Wasn't sure if you'd actually join or not, but
I got back from lunch in time.
yeah, we're just kind of talking about what we're going to be, I think, working on the landing page. And you know, you weren't here the first time, but basically we're just using this as a working session, and you can join along. I guess I should share the link here. Let's see. Here is the Figma file that we're working from. Okay. Oh, it's interesting. Designing with emotion.
Sorry, I'm just putting on a new page for. I'm gonna make a new page for each week. Thought it could be kind of fun.
Yeah, love it.
So just. Yeah, I don't know if these names are particularly good. It's chat GPT stuff, but do you want to share screen as well, Nate, while we're doing this?
Oh, sure.
Just in case people don't want to use the Figma file.
Yep. Yeah, Brian, have you used Figma before?
I have, yes,
How do you use it?
as best I can.
Solid.
For what purpose? Sorry, can you clarify your question for me?
Oh yeah, I was just kind of curious, like how you use it for what purpose?
Most of my use has been being given a wireframe by a designer for my work in web development. But I've used it just to kind of mock things up myself.
Yeah.
As skillfully as I'm able. I feel like for me, the limiting factor is less my ability to have Figma present what I want and more the actual, what do I want Figma to show me or look like? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. That's interesting. So if you just for context, if you go into week 0, yeah, you can kind of see some of the documents that we shared about what we're building. Feel free to comment or add any thoughts there if anything seems interesting to you. And what's up, Adrian? Have we met? Were you here?
Hello. Yeah, not yet. I was not there last week. I missed the first session.
All good.
All good. Welcome.
These are sometimes connected, maybe not always connected. So we're just winging this, but welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Have you used Figma before?
Yeah, I've used Figma quite a lot in my day-to-day work. Not a designer by any means. I'm a SEO manager. So I'm here because I know Tom.
Hey.
Using it mostly with like FigJam to do to explain things to people, mostly like to schematize things and so on. That's very useful.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2-second context in case you don't have it. Nate and I are building some kind of online course to teach Figma to people who are not designers.
Yeah.
That's kind of the basic premise. This is week 1 or 2, depending on how you count. So we're right at the beginnings of it. I think today Nate and I want to really get a landing page up. So we're just going to work and chip away. Feel free to chime in with anything as you go. There's a link to the Figma in the chat.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, Nick.
Hey there. How's it going?
Good. You just missed my 2-second intro, which is Nate and I are building a course to teach Figma to non-designers. We're right at the beginning of it. We're working in public. Here we are. Welcome. There's a link to the Figma in the chat.
Great. I'm all caught up.
Great. What's your background, Nick? Have you used Figma before?
Yes, I have. So I'm actually, background is technically in design, but then I was at an agency that did not have effective strategy, so I moved towards strategy. And now I'm 100% strategist, but using a background in design and technology and project management to kind of inform how I do all that. So using Figma to me means potentially working closer to my designers. However, it also means moving further away from non-designers, which is kind of the tension I was trying to talk about last time.
Great.
Are there any particular types of questions or things you want us to be, I guess, on the lookout for as we play flies on the wall?
Well, so today's task is designing a landing page, which I think is really mostly a copy exercise right now, right? It's basically what are the things that we're going to say on the landing page or get people excited about this, position it the right way, and so on. So I think there's some stuff in here. This is kind of some of the notes we had from last session of kind of a very, very basic, whatever, not even a mock-up, a spaghetti soup of language for the landing page. So I guess any of that works or doesn't work or is missing, feel free to chime in there. That's probably the most useful. We also have we've got to put this on a domain name. So I guess we need a name, whether that's Figma for knowledgeworkers.com or some shorter thing. Any suggestions, leave them in the comments or on the Figma or shout them out. One name based off this ChatGPT thing, Nate, one name I had was Figma Vision. I don't know if we're allowed to use Figma in the domain name. I don't see why not, really.
Are you thinking that was like one word?
No, probably 2 words. It was inspired by ChatGPT being like Figma for visionary problem solvers. Like, we're obviously not going to call it that, but Figma Vision became with seeing the world through the eyes seeing like a Figma expert.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like some retro word that's coming. I can't quite hook into it right now, but yeah, I kind of like that. I like the word visual or visual thinker, so there's something in terms of that's kind of catchy in my mind. And we talked a little bit about, is this too on the nose, Figma for knowledge workers, and can we make it more aspirational or more based around a type of work, not necessarily the person or how people might label themselves? Because I never really think, I'd be curious, like maybe everybody else, but like knowledge workers, even though that like clearly states who it's for, I would never like self-identify really as a knowledge worker. Kind of curious if anybody else would.
I had the same thought.
Yeah, I agree. The problem is that I'm not sure what else to use. Like there's a wide spectrum. I mean, that's kind of also like, I quite like Figma for non-designers because it kind of nicely bounds it.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
we could just call it like Figma for work.
Right.
But that, again, it loses some of its point of view.
Yep. And another thing is we could always, be clear about that in the copy, in the subhead or somewhere else where we're pointing out who it's for and what it does.
I have a question. Is your hope to get non-designers to either be designers or to get to designer level competence with Figma? Or is the goal slightly adjacent?
I think the goal is not to make you design level competent in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, explicitly, I think we're not going to teach you everything Figma can do, but it's more so to give you enough confidence to integrate Figma into your workflow, whatever that means, right? So for a product designer, for a product manager, that could be creating some simple mock-ups, leaving feedback on design files that designers created, creating some simple prototypes, things like that. So which are like useful things that you might want to do, but not true, like they're not all design tasks. We're watching Nate do some design in real time here, which I like. Yeah, so it's very much about just kind of like, and that, I guess that's like the, working and thinking visually. Again, it's like using Figma as a tool, not necessarily as a design tool.
The reason I asked is I don't know why my mind went to this when you had mentioned like for non-designers, but there's I think it's like a hard root beer. It's called Not Your Grandfather's Root Beer, something like that. I'm thinking about like not your designer's Figma, or it's kind of like an anti definition of what it's not, I suppose what it is.
It's a more soulful way to say Figma for non-designers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. And yeah, I mean, part of this is we're kind of making the assumption that you already know what Figma is and what it's used for. And I'm wondering, is there potential to build something for someone who doesn't really even know what Figma is, but are at a lack of how do I actually use this in the environment that maybe I'm a project manager and I'm not working for a tech company, or I haven't really like had any experience around Figma. Do we require some knowledge of Figma going into this?
I don't think so. I think it'd be nice to take someone from zero, like never having opened a Figma file before. Although I think that that's probably not going to be most of the people we work with. I'm guessing that most people will have at least opened Figma before.
Yeah.
You're right. I think why Figma is a great like section on this landing page, right?
I just gave a workshop talk an hour ago. I build all my slides in Figma, which for workshops, it's great because you can just bounce between the deck and the design file, just not have to switch tools, which is the most fun thing ever.
Yeah, I haven't quite made that transition yet. Partly because I think that it's harder for other people to collaborate on a presentation. Like if people want to leave comments or edit data, it's I'm still doing a lot of stuff collaboratively, but I can see the argument for doing it. Showing work, I think, is especially good.
In my mind, a large part of Figma, and I'm interested in if this is what you're intending, but it's kind of the moderation of being able to guide someone through a Figma, I guess, board, and even open it up to collaboration. Or is it more about kind of the output of what Figma can provide?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we talked about last time was creators. So people who are not designers but manage a YouTube channel or a podcast or an email newsletter or whatever are a good target audience as well, because they have to create a bunch of assets. They're almost using it like Canva, right? They're almost like, how do I make a rectangle that looks cool that I can use as cover art for ABC? Or and so they're more interested in quickly making something and then, you know, exporting a PNG or whatever. Whereas like you know, product managers or consultants are probably more interested in like, how do I make a Figma file that shows me this landing page that I can walk my client through, and everything.
Yeah, I think that ability to navigate and lead is important, but it is kind of a two-sided conversation with that.
I like that language though. There's something there which is nicely empowering to be like, learn how to lead Figma sessions, or lead, you know, learn how to yeah, I'm not quite sure how you would word it, but there's something there that is nicely empowering.
Yeah, because I think when you bring someone in who hasn't used the platform before, in order to show them something, it kind of looks like your little Rube Goldberg machine. And just knowing the kind of muscle memory to navigate coherently, or even best practices, that's probably useful.
It's a good point.
Yeah, is there anything else that we're missing here from this list of things it can accomplish that might be useful in your day-to-day?
This feels slightly tangent, but just so I don't lose the thought, to piggyback on the last comment, does there exist out there anything like a game to train in the Figma shortcuts?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I've done not quite a game, but I'm curious now. Tom's favorite. Yeah, I built something like this where it teaches you to kind of how to use the pen tool by following these points. You know, like how would you create a square? And so I kind of, this is a live file, so I should probably do that. But in a way, teaching, you know, that maybe there's a method to teaching in this way by using the Figma pen tool, you know, or other tools within Figma to draw objects or graphs, charts. Yeah, that's a great game.
Yeah,
Brian.
I mean, I think this is great, a great reference point for like how we actually structure the course experience itself, like structuring it around like quests and games and little exercises. So it's not just like us lecturing you about Figma, but it's like, all right, everybody, draw a squirrel with the with the pen tool, or whatever, right? I think that is definitely a kind of guiding principle that we want to structure around.
Hey Daniel, how are you doing?
Doing well, just following along.
Nice. Where are you calling from?
From France. Yeah.
Man, writing copy live is not something that's super fun. Challenging.
I'm literally undoing all of your design work as I go, Nate. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to lay it out real quick, and then I'm going to go back, and I'm like, let me just ruin it real quick.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of their auto layout.
What layout?
Oh, they're using auto layout.
Oh, auto layout. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we're not really sure if the structure of the curriculum and how best to present this, but how do you all like to learn? Do you like live cohorts? Do you like just doing this stuff on your own time, or have you ever tried like email-based courses? Curious how you all like to learn new things.
I was actually about to ask what your original intention was. Is this going to be self-guided or a course or like a live course? I'm not sure what you have experience with in the past.
Well, so I think, I teach a live course myself, which is like a 2-day sprint. Tom, has the SEO MBA and teaches using self-paced. And I think you augment it with live sessions, don't you?
I did. I have weekly office hours, which are live sessions, and then I did a live version of the course as a beta. So I was producing the materials. I did some live cohorts. So yeah, we have a bit of everything. I think that we haven't decided the exact format yet. I'm guessing that we will start with a beta. So that's kind of what we want, this landing page to generate some signups, and then once we have enough signups, we'll do a beta, I think is the plan. Get 10, 15 people through a live version of the materials, and we'll be building the materials as we go, kind of thing. And then off the back of that, I think we'll have a better understanding of, does this need to be live? What worked, what didn't work? How do we iterate it? And then from there, we can either do another live beta, so like further refine, iterate, or we can kind of go straight to production mode, or we can announce like a full live cohort if we think a live cohort is the answer. That's why I'm thinking about it, at least. But again, you're watching us figure out some of those questions in real time.
Yeah, what do you prefer, Nick?
I think the point you made, Tom, I think if you did it live at least once and then had that almost as a supplement to self-guided options, where you can almost check yourself against what was taught from the source, that could be an interesting approach.
Yeah, I mean, the best, I should say, maybe not the best, the biggest kind of cohort-based courses actually rely on a lot of like pre-recorded materials as well. So actually, like a lot of what you think of as live cohorts are typically actually kind of a bit of a blend anyway. Yeah. There's also an open question about community to pair with this. Like, do people want to join little, do they want to like post their Figma files and little community, get feedback on stuff, like ask questions? there's definitely a potential use case for that, but managing a community is also a lot of work.
There also might need to be a sort of choose your own adventure component, just based on the range of potential audiences you're looking at.
Yep. Yep. I mean, certainly like having more than one pricing tier is kind of best practice for pricing. So we should think about what the basic offering is and what the premium offering is.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you do landing page kind of design, but just if it's interesting at all, like usually when I'm designing stuff, we're just trying to fill in all the content, try to get a good idea of what exists. It's just so hard to design around lorem ipsum text. So what you're seeing is won't be a final design. It's just kind of like, what are the missing pieces?
Yeah. Also, this is a great use case for my own personal use of Figma, which is doing that kind of like jumping to the end. Like if I try and make the landing page, often that clarifies some of the questions about pricing, format, copy, positioning, all that stuff is kind of, it's all wrapped up together. So by trying to put the landing page together, you realize maybe where some of the unanswered questions are and so on. Nate, what do you think about having like I was almost wondering if we should have like a little kind of letter or like this kind of box here that we could have. It would be like, you know, hey, this is Nate and Tom. Like we've integrated Figma into our workflows in the following ways, and like it's kind of changed our lives. That's why we've made this thing.
Little manifesto or some sort
Yeah,
of,
like, but also like we're building in public. So like, you know, join the email list. So like less of the kind of the nuts, like everything else, like bullet points kind of thing. Like, and maybe having a little bit of a like, yeah, like you said, like a little manifesto or a little kind of welcome letter.
Yep.
Something to give the landing page a bit more soul.
Yep. Let's see. I will separate that a little bit, but curious if we have anything from our document here. Let's put this there for now.
Did someone already float like think in Figma, or I know Figma Vision was mentioned, but
Oh,
if I heard you correctly, Tom, you were talking about like almost ironing out your thoughts in Figma. I didn't know if that could point itself to a name.
Yeah, I like that. I guess the only challenge, maybe one of the things I want to shy away from is there's a big like tools for thought community out there, people who use like Roam and Notion and those kind of people, which is like, you know, build this massive index library of notes. And like, I want to kind of avoid this being the kind of do that in Figma. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I want to make sure that this is a professionally useful experience, even if you're self-employed, right? Like this isn't a kind of a productivity thing, or I don't think it is. So that would be the only resistance to like Think in Figma, but I like the name Think in Figma. Man, naming is so hard.
Yeah, it is. Visualize in Figma or visualize. visual problem solving is not a name, but it is I like the concept.
Problem solving. Yep.
Do you think anyone who could be potentially using this thinks of themselves as creators in a way?
I think some people definitely do. You know, I think part of our audience is definitely like YouTubers and podcasters and bloggers who want a way to create visuals for things,
Yeah.
visual assets, whether and so on. But I don't think it's just for them. And in fact, like I think that especially when it gets to like pricing and stuff, like I want to make sure that people can expense this. Right. So again, I want to hit that sweet spot of this isn't just like kind of nice to have like creative thing. This is a thing that you want to expense because you're using it at work. Right. Again, that comes back to that like product manager, strategy consultant type person, UX researcher, like lots of people who are like kind of design adjacent. I guess the adjacency is an interesting word, right? Adjacency. Figma adjacent. You can tell
Design adjacent.
You can tell I'm terrible at naming, right? I'm curious, has anyone here taken any online courses?
I've taken a few, among which the SMBA, but yeah, I've taken a few from Coursera, EDX, the CS50 also from Harvard with computer science. Most of those are taught on a self-learning basis. You just take it when you have time.
Okay. Anyone else taking any courses?
I have not, except for some Udemy courses. I don't know if that's categorically different in my mind. And I did a web development bootcamp. So either like the very tiny, $9.99 scale on Udemy, or a 6-month web development bootcamp.
Maybe we call this thing a Figma bootcamp.
Yeah.
That might already be it. There's already various Figma bootcamps.
Right. Usually geared at designers.
Yeah.
Is there something around literacy? Figma literacy, Figma
It's a nice word.
competence, Figma compliant, Figma capable.
Figma literate. I also just came up with like the word that popped into my mind was like Figma rebels. Like I like that language you were just typing, Nate, about the work that happens in the cracks of the organization, like the in-between spaces. And like thinking about like, is there a word for the people that, so like another way to think about naming, right, is like people that come out of, people who have come out of this course will call themselves, you could say you're Figma literate, that's one, or you could call yourself a Figma rebel. You could call yourself a visual thinker. Like, but there's like the brand, you can use the brand in that way to be like, you now have a new label that you can use.
Well, my background was acting in theater initially, and there are understudies, or there are swings, which are people that can step in a lot of different roles. And if you're not targeting designers to be a designer, but someone who is capable, who's like on the bench, but put me in, coach. Like I can help. I'm capable of contributing. I am conversant in this language or this skill set, even if I am not the designer or.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Figma for generalists. I think that generalist label is almost what you're getting at there, right? People can kind of do a bunch of
Yeah,
different stuff. Jack of all Figmas. No.
I know SEO, I do some basic web development. I'm a Figma generalist.
Generalists. Generalists. Yep, yep.
Figma fellows. Yeah, that's nice, Nick.
Figma fellows.
Got the alliteration there.
Yeah, like
Yeah. What's another word for generalist? Like, how else would you describe that thing you just said? Like being a Swiss Army knife, or a generalist, or a jack of all trades, or a being the glue. Polymath. Okay. Figma, polymath. Polyfigma. That also has the kind of the resin, like the polytechnic. Polyfigma. Figma polys.
Figma thinker.
Figma thinker.
thinker.
So you have like two things in one course, which is on one side using Figma as a tool, and on the other side you have that idea of visual thinking. And both are taught in the same course. If I understood correctly what you want to do.
This is composable is not the right word, but I am thinking about components, for instance, that are like, oh, this is really easy to, you know, reconstruct or reconfigure because things have really easy integrations. They're very configurable. This seems like a skill that would make someone even easier to work with if they work in any role going to kind of the corporate or business structure, saying like, hey, I can immediately be the liaison between design and whatever, sales, business, engineering, product, project. Like with this grasp of Figma, you can be the interface with the design team from whatever your background is.
Yeah, I like there's already language out there about those kind of glue roles and glue work. I think a lot of that is communication work, and so a lot of that Figma is like useful there.
Figma conversant.
Yeah, and I like the composability angle, the idea that you are stitching things together using Figma, bridging the gap, crossing the chasm. Yeah.
You said glue a few times.
Fig glue.
Design glue.
Design glue.
I don't think this is an idea, but one potential metaphor to look at it as you're using Figma as like a lingua franca between multiple different skill sets or disciplines. So it's almost a language that you are learning and using to kind of be the middle point between completely different languages.
Figma franca.
It sounds nice.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get some serif fonts up in here for that, right?
Oh yeah. Old school here.
That I'm thinking that long curly F.
Yeah, Daniel says, can't shake the visual of a detective's conspiracy board or a scientist's madness displayed on infinite canvas. I've always liked the word infinite. It's like infinite possibilities with kind of what you can do.
Infinite in Figma.
Yeah, infinite Figma. Does everybody know where Figma came from? It's a play on figment of your imagination.
Hmm.
What are other examples of polymaths that exist out there? Like where do polymaths show up in culture?
Business.
Like a product manager is kind of a polymath, right? They always have to have a mix of skills. An entrepreneur is a polymath, but like where else do they show up in? Is there like a word for a polymath in sports or music or?
Sports could be.
Virtuoso.
Ooh, go ahead.
Virtuoso.
Virtuoso. Yeah.
Sports is like a utility player.
Utility player. Utility.
Yeah.
Yeah, Figma utility. What about, is there something about like a direct, what about like, I'm thinking about movies, like director or producer,
Auteur.
auteur?
Usually it's like writer, director, producer. It's like a bootstrap. It's like a bootstrap film.
Also popular now is the concept of like hyphenates, how people think of themselves as hyphenates.
Yeah, like Figma hyphenates.
I'm sure you also don't want to obfuscate it too much away from just getting across what you're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, this is always the challenge of naming, right? Is
Yeah.
you know, you've got like on the one end of the spectrum, you've got like, you know, the
Metaphor.
the infinite hyphenate, and on the other end of the spectrum, you have Figma for knowledge workers, and we're trying to find something in the middle, right? There's something nice about connect the dots as a kind of idea as well, like because of like glue work. Connect, like something about. Yeah.
Mucilage. Yeah, there's a large element of like, yeah, connecting pieces of organizations, of people of different disciplines.
What is one way to adapter? I was going to say, you know, the outlet. You know, you're in a different country. You've got your plug, and what you need is an adapter. What you need is that. I mean, that's a type of interface.
Or a converter. Or catalyst. Catalyst. Figma catalysts.
I don't know that I follow Catalyst.
Well, a catalyst is like somebody who creates change. Right? Well, like in chemistry terms, a catalyst is something that creates a change. That's probably not the right definition, but something close enough. Yeah.
I just misread adapter as adept.
Figma adept. There's also like, you could just extend the word like figmata, figmates. It's all a little, I don't think any of these are quite right, but.
I do think that steps it away a bit legally, which might help.
Yeah, maybe. I don't, yeah.
Fuse is interesting.
Link is interesting.
Yeah, link.
Figma link. Figma linkers.
Fig link.
Design grout.
You need better grounding in your work, and you've come to the right place. A fixer, that's another one, like a Figma fixes.
Figma fit.
Yeah, kind of the workout idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, Figma fitness is interesting.
Yeah, you take that in a few different directions, fitting the pieces together.
I think as I look down this list, like I think Figma Thinker is maybe one of my favorites. It nicely promises transformation, like you will become a Figma thinker.
I feel like everything else is a metaphor off of Figma Thinker. So it's like the most pure of them.
Mm-hmm. Mise en place, applied to projects and creative roles. Yeah, it's interesting.
The other route we could potentially take. Are you kind of thinking, when I think of names, I kind of tend to think of like the name of the product first and then the domain second, but are these like domains in your mind, Tom?
I mean, I think we need, like, I would be happy to call it Figma for knowledge workers as a kind of a placeholder
Sure.
while we build the other stuff, except that we need a domain name. And I don't think Figma for knowledgeworkers.com is the right domain name. So I think we do need a domain.
Yeah.
So I mean, not that it has to be final. We can always move later, but something to start with. That's where I think Figma Thinker is almost like the right kind of length also.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's free or not, and I don't know. I think you can use Figma in a domain name, right? Like, as long as you're not pretending to be Figma, I think it should be fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Well,
FigmaThinker.com is free.
Yeah, with or without dash, it's available.
Yeah, I will snag that right now if y'all let me here.
Yeah.
Snag it first. Just to have on hand, Tom.
I think Figma Thinker is a good enough name to go with for now.
Yeah.
I feel good. I think it defines the thing well enough, and then we can get a landing page up and we can do everything else. Maybe we'll assemble a better one as we go. Maybe not.
How do you build or put out your landing page?
I do pretty much all my stuff on GitHub pages, partly because it's free, and partly because I hate putting stuff into a kind of CMS, because then you have databases to maintain and sites that can fall over and all kinds of nonsense to deal with. So I've kind of built all my stuff just pretty bare metal, like HTML files on GitHub pages. I'm not sure if anyone's played with it, but it's kind of markdown HTML, pretty straightforward. We don't need anything. We don't need a big website. We don't need any like programmatically generated pages or anything. So I'm guessing that's what we'll do here.
Do you use any sort of site generator or just HTML, CSS kind of thing?
Well, it runs off Jekyll, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a in the background, but that's kind of almost by the by. Like it's almost, I mean, it's still pretty much just HTML, CSS, and then you have markdown files that you can template out and stuff. But
Thank you. I was just curious because I've 3 years software engineering, but I'm new to it and I'm used to working on like companies' products as opposed to like, oh, how do like creators and people, as opposed to like spinning up a whole app or whatever it might be. Thanks. Just kidding.
They're not doing what Tom does.
What's that, Nate?
They're not doing what you do, most creators.
That's also true. Yeah, I mean, I think like Squarespace is pretty common.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I'm guessing we'll put the newsletter probably on Substack, right? I'm guessing that's going to be the easiest thing for us to
Probably be the easiest. Yeah.
manage, maintain for now. Again, we can always shift later.
Okay, domains are purchased. I did pick up the pluralized version just in case there's any confusion when we're saying it. You can just point one to the other.
Amazing.
And yeah, we'll probably roll GitHub pages since Tom, I guess, really loves to hand code his websites.
Nothing like the crisp feel of HTML in the morning.
It's right.
I have a meeting starting in 10 minutes, so I got a hard stop. Does everyone want to dive in real quick and just look at this landing page we have? It's obviously not like finished, but just any bits that are not working for you, anything that anything that you'd want to see that you think would be compelling to add.
I think it was you, Tom, who floated the idea of a section about you two.
Yep.
I might have misunderstood, but like, I don't know. For me, whenever I see like a photo or two of human beings on a landing page, and like, hey, this is about me, and maybe a link to your Twitter or whatever, that I always find that a little warmer.
Yep. We had that space in the top right, on the right rail at the top, that we could put some kind of video or screenshot or headshot. Oh God. Yeah,
Sorry, Tom. Whoa, sorry. No one wants to see ourselves up close.
Yeah. You want to know what Figma vision is? Zoom in.
So over there.
Anyone else? Any feedback on the landing page? Yeah. I think Daniel's right. He says, could go meta with the image by showing a Figma creation of said page. Like I almost feel like we could, for the landing page for now, we could have like a picture of you and me working in Figma, Nate.
Yeah.
Like that could be kind of
maybe like
actually
working and you're like right behind me, hand on my shoulder, like moving my mouse. And
I think we should do, how do I do this? I want to put my cursor next to yours and screenshot it.
oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do I, hang on, I'm going to screenshot your cursor, you screenshot my cursor, and then we'll put them next to each other. Let's try that.
There we go. Are you putting this up top? Oh, there we go.
That's excellent.
I mean, until we have any more visuals or anything to show, like kind of, it just gives that top space a little something.
Yep, I dig that. Yeah, Brian, to answer your question, I do most of my stuff in Webflow these days. I used to hand code all my stuff until I was too easily swayed by the newest and fastest static site generator. And
What is it called? I haven't heard that one.
Webflow.
Webflow. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that swear by Webflow. In particular, you can integrate Webflow with Airtable nicely. So if you want to spin up a page, spin up a website that has 100 landing pages based on a table of data that you have, I think Webflow plus Airtable can do that pretty nicely for you. With again, still in a kind of static site kind of world, rather than having to, spin up a database and so on.
Exactly. Yeah, Daniel, we could show the image. The image by showing a Figma creation of said page. Yeah, exactly. Kind of showing it in process. Kind of fun.
I don't know if you were thinking about the stat, like a screenshot of the static, but I don't know how complicated it would be to have a recording sped up of just from some, just to show a little bit of progress, almost like a GIF, whichever it is. I'm like, oh, here's us building, and here's our, thought.
It would be cool if you load the page and it's just white, and then the cursors start moving all the elements in the page. Besides, that is wildly over-engineered for this landing page, but it's a nice idea.
Do you think there's any advantage to having a little like section of we built this in public and a little like reason why and kind of how, or is that
Totally.
just okay?
I mean, I almost think that we should have a mention of that on the landing page, and then we should have a dedicated separate page that hosts like, I think we should have a little log. Like, or I guess that's maybe the email, maybe that's the email newsletter that you subscribe to, where we send out a weekly thing of like what we did this week. I don't know. Like, yes, I think we should definitely have a section for that, because that's kind of the reason to sign up for the email list in a sense, right? Is
Yeah. Yep.
and then like when we're about to do these weekly sessions, we can link just that page rather than linking to the full landing page. You can just link to the.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but might be nice to have a little tagline.
I think one trap you're going to want to avoid is becoming Figma UI teachers,
Yeah.
because people could easily jump in and be like, well, I don't know what any of these buttons are. And you're kind of a step past that, I would imagine.
That's a great point. I think it might be worth having some examples of use cases of Figma, like visually here somewhere. You know, maybe we're showing stuff that's not UI, so it helps. Maybe it's graphs of data, presentations. Maybe there's some supporting imagery that communicates that, because I think the benefit of this is to stay far away from those. Well, we have some work to do.
I think this is pretty. This is useful though. This is a fun working session.
Absolutely.
I think we made a lot of progress. We got domain name. Thanks, Nate.
Yeah. Tell me
Put it
where
on
to
the
point
company
it.
card.
We're already in the red.
Yeah, already in the red. Good job, everybody. Good job. Everybody is chipping $2.50 and we'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
All right, I got to jump in a couple minutes, but this is great. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Appreciate the feedback and the ideas, and hope this was fun and interesting. We're going to keep doing it. So
Yeah, this is great. Thanks so much.
Cool. Thanks all.
later.
Take care.
See ya
Thank you. Bye.
later.